So, folks, we've talked a lot now about Mitch McConnell, whether or not he's alive or dead. Last time we talked about it, we did talk about the fact that his campaign staffers posted a proof of life photo where he is holding the day's newspaper. And that should be, under normal circumstances, what settles it. However, he was not in Congress today. He wasn't available for Congress when it went into session on Monday. Also, other members of Congress have told people when asked, that photo looks like one I've seen before. I'm not sure that photo was from today. That was from Ron Johnson, right? And I bring all of this up because genuinely, I don't know what's going on with Mitch McConnell. His staffers released a message supposedly written by him where he talked about how he took a little bit of a fall, and he's a bit fragile because he grew up with polio, and he's recovering, but he got a little pneumonia, so he's still in the hospital. But it's getting a little weird. And I'm not the only one who thinks that. This is Andy Beshear, governor of Kentucky, who I want to remind you all is a Democrat and also potentially running in 2028, holding a press conference. And I think it's worth hearing what he has to say about Mitch McConnell. Let's check this out. This was from 12 hours ago, roughly.
Special election law, if Senator McConnell were to be incapacitated. Could you elaborate on exactly what would trigger you making that assessment? And if there is a constitutional question there, why not challenge it earlier?
Well, right now there's not a vacancy, at least.
God, okay. Well, the questioner was very quiet, but he's more than vocal enough. Cool.
Not one that we know about. And so I don't want to speculate as to what we do, but I think all options there would be on the table to make sure that Kentucky had representation at a critical time, and a strong belief that Congress should actually do its job, to be a separate branch of government, to be a check on other branches of government, and not seeing much of that happening right now. There's a section of Kentucky's Constitution that says the governor fills vacancies for offices that are elected statewide. Now, there may be a question about whether a federal office fits in that, but here's what I'd tell you. Before there was ever a statute about how a governor appoints a vacancy in the U.S. Senate, governors did it, presumably under that section of the state constitution, in which case a law passed by the General Assembly can't violate or contradict it. But I do think it's at least a little interesting that the legislature not once but twice tried to pass laws changing that. I think they know that there's an issue there too.
Yeah, so the background to this in particular is that Kentucky's state legislature has tried to pass laws multiple times in order to prevent Andy Beshear specifically from being able to appoint anybody should someone in a Senate seat, for example, pass away while in office. And if you're wondering, wait, were they just trying to pass that law because Mitch McConnell looked like he was dying? The answer to that is yes. That's exactly why they were trying to do that. Remember, about 2 years ago is when Mitch McConnell had his sudden break with reality. I'm sure many of you will remember it, of course. Let me just, here we go. This is from 2 years ago, which incidentally is around the same time they tried to pass legislation last time.
Path to finishing the NDA this week has been good bipartisan cooperation and a string of
Wait a minute. Are you good, Mitch?
Okay, Mitch.
Mr. Chairman.
Anything else you want to say, or should we just go back to your office? Do you want to say anything else to the press?
Go ahead, John.
I'll take it back. Let's go back to you.
Go ahead, John.
This was 2 years ago. Kentucky responded by trying to pass a law to make it illegal for Andy Beshear to, appoint the successor. And the Kentucky state legislature is currently freaking out because Andy Beshear might be able to flip a seat in the Senate until the end of the end of this term, right? And on top of that, Andy Beshear got an interesting question at that same press conference earlier today.
Well, I'm not going to speculate on what we might do in a hypothetical situation, but I can tell you I've had no official response, nothing sent to our office, no letter, no email. Now, he did put out a public statement, and that's a step in the right direction. But I view this the same way our families would have to deal with something like this. I mean, if anybody out there, your viewers, were in the hospital for a month, they'd have to call their boss at work and explain what's going on. Explain what happened and what their path is to coming back. And that's all I think the voters, who are the boss of all of us that are elected, I think there's some elected officials who don't view themselves as having a boss. We do. In this instance, it's the people of Kentucky that just deserve to see a little bit more and hear a little bit more about how the senator is doing and what the steps are for his return in office. I hope he'll do that. I mean, he just put out the statement. And certainly I want to be clear that I'm not wishing the senator any ill will. I knew one of his daughters when we were in high school was and is a great person. And so we hope that there is a speedy recovery. But with all the speculation, and there's been a ton, the fastest way to end all of it is calling into a news station if you're otherwise taking calls, putting out a video or two, which all of us do in office.
Also, worth noting, Andy Beshear a week ago was asking, hey, is Mitch McConnell alive or dead? The fact that the governor of Kentucky, the state that Mitch McConnell represents, hasn't gotten anything from Mitch McConnell, hasn't gotten anything from his team, hasn't gotten written correspondence, hasn't gotten a call, hasn't gotten shit. That's like I gotta be honest with you guys, this is suspicious as hell. Like he's gonzo. He's they are not talking about like, oh, well, can we fill his position or not for no reason. It's because he's been gone for a month from his job without any explanation except for one public statement. And like, you saw how he was at that press conference 2 years ago. If that same thing happened again and he's just like unable to really like process any kind of information in the capacity of like a United States senator, then like he needs to be like replaced immediately. And I think that like right now, it kind of seems to me like they are covering for something that they were woefully unprepared for. And they don't want him to go to work because it will reveal that he's incompetent and needs to be replaced. And so they're banking on trying to keep him in the hospital for as long as possible. Because the second he is replaceable, he's going to get replaced by the appointment of Andy Beshear. And that's one whole ass Senate seat going to the Dems. Like, we looked at the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, that Democrats just shut down. How did they shut it down? Well, because Republicans could only afford to lose a couple votes. It's going to make it an even narrower margin in the Senate if a Democrat gets put in that seat, even temporarily, till the end of the term. And that's going to make Republicans basically have a very hard time passing anything, let alone the SAVE Act, let alone any of their higher priority things. We all got that proof of life AI photo. I mean, it crossed my mind that it might be AI, for sure. But like, I don't think it's unfair for me to look at this where like the governor of Kentucky can't get answers. and think, that seems really weird. That seems weird as hell. And I wanted to take a little moment to check out this particular appearance of Andy Beshear, which I think is quite interesting as well. He went on Politics Nation with Al Sharpton earlier today, and had some words to say.
Andy Beshear. Governor, we appreciate you coming on tonight. We have a lot to cover, but I must start with your thoughts on the passing of South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham.
I do not give a single shit about his thoughts on Lindsey Graham. Rest in piss. All right.
X, you renewed your call for Senator Mitch McConnell to provide an update on his health. The senator has been absent from the Senate for 3 weeks. You say it's time to end the crazy speculation and for the senator to tell us what's going on. Have you gotten a response from the senator or his office?
Nothing. Not a call, not an email, not a letter, not even an official statement from Senator McConnell. And I haven't seen an official statement from him during this entire period or even after the passing of his friend, Senator Graham. I will admit that I'm concerned. I get that we all have a right to privacy for our health, but when you run for an office like mine or Senator McConnell's, you answer to the voters. And if you are in the hospital for an entire month, you owe it to the people that elected you to give them an update, to show that you continue to have the capacity to serve. And for me, I represent those same people. And so I'm pushing for them to get the answers they deserve. All he has to do is call in to maybe Fox News, a network that he should be comfortable going.
Oh.
Official statement. He could send a short video. The failure to do so for this long raises serious and legitimate concerns.
Now, for those of us less versed in Kentucky law, what are the governor's duties when a senator may be incapacitated or unable to do his job? If Senator McConnell were to step aside, how do things work in your...
The audio cutting out isn't you guys, it's this clip it has audio cutting in and out for whatever reason. But, the fact that we have a governor of a United States state sitting here being like, yeah, I can't tell whether or not a senator from my state is alive or dead or not. That's pretty big, especially with the stakes being so high.
I think it's possibly a contested question, so we might make some news right here, Reverend. Our Republican supermajority has been so worried about me being able to potentially support someone before a special election that they passed not one but two.
Why are you doing this?
To me from the Republican Party, and I'd have to pick. Now they say I can't fill a vacancy, but I have to call a special election.
What he was trying to say there in the clip is that, the legislature was trying to pick who he could pick to fill the seat. Was trying to say, oh, yeah, you can fill the seat, but only with, one of these three candidates.
But here's the thing. There is a Kentucky constitutional provision that says that I appoint all state officers when there's a vacancy. The question is, does that apply to federal offices? Well, before there was ever a law in Kentucky on how this would work, multiple appointments were made by governors, assumably.
Oh, God.
If we end up there, and I hope we don't, I hope Senator McConnell will provide proof of life tomorrow and that we could all move on. There's at least going to be probably a little disagreement. So you would, if that became necessary.
How much time is left in Mitch's term? He would be going until the next swearing in of the next Congress. So, I believe his term is up this year. He wasn't running for re-election. And so I believe that it would be until the next Congress is sworn in, which is gonna be kind of too late for the window of opportunity where Republicans desperately need every single member of the Senate on board at all times.
You would appoint someone if it became necessary to do so on the basis of the Kentucky Constitution as you read it?
Well, certainly my hope is that Senator McConnell will provide us the assurances that we need. But if he is incapacitated, if there is a vacancy, I will look at my authority as governor to make sure that we are represented as Kentuckians. And certainly I'll take a strong look at that section of our Kentucky Constitution.
I mean, like, guys, I gotta be honest, in the circumstance of being incapacitated, like, I would typically say someone being unable to perform their job for over a month would be considered incapacitated. And, like, I think that in a lot of circumstances, that means, like, there should just be time off granted, and, like, you should be able to heal without losing your job. But in this particular circumstance, our democracy requires these people to be there in order to function and represent constituents. Every day that someone is not there in their elected office is a disservice to the millions of people who elected and participated in the democracy to get that election happening in the first place. Like, we cannot have this particular thing going on. We can't have, like, oh yeah, you're gone for like 2 months, 3 months. Yeah, whatever, it's fine. Like, nah, dog. We can't be pretending this is okay. At this point, I would consider him already incapacitated. And given that we're not getting any kind of feedback on when he's going to be, capable of attending Congress again, well, I think that's another check in the incapacitated column. If Mitch is alive, why are they being so secretive? Excellent question. Again, like, Andy Beshear's points are not bad ones. Like, if he's alive, okay, do like an Instagram live video or something. Call in to talk to local media. Like, every media organization in the country right now would be more than happy to take a call from Mitch McConnell. What did they work? Like 68 days out of 365 last year? And that's the other thing, right? Like, missing a handful of days of Congress being in session. Like, if you miss like 5 days, you're missing almost 10%. Almost 10% of all days that Congress is in session. Beshear can only replace him up until August 3rd. Then his seat is just empty until midterms. Oh, those bastards. That's absolutely what they're trying to do. They are absolutely trying to hide Mitch McConnell. They are trying to fucking hide Mitch McConnell until August 3rd. That makes so much more sense. They're trying to keep Mitch McConnell under wraps until they're like, weekdays, several weeks at Bernie's-ing him, God. Honestly, at that point, Andy Beshear just needs to go to the fucking hospital and walk into every fucking room there until he finds Mitch McConnell. He needs to be like Moon Knight looking for Dracula. Where's my goddamn money?
All right, you pointed out in your post this morning that you've been consistent. You publicly and privately urged the last
Man, the audio cutting out is devastating.
Administration.
By the way, just as an FYI, Al Sharpton posted this on Twitter. This is Al Sharpton's own video that he shared. And the audio's like this.
To address the public's concern about leaders, do you feel like transparency and openness will be values that voters are going to want to see addressed in our politics?
Absolutely. They're going to want to see it again. Do you remember when public officials were expected to produce their tax returns and how after one president wouldn't, suddenly that's something that no one has asked? Listen, I became the governor 3 months before COVID hit. If I sneezed or coughed during a press conference, I had to give somebody a full readout on my health. People want to be able to trust
the person that's in office, to feel like they're not hiding something. And that shouldn't be exceptional in politics right now. It should be absolutely expected. One of the reasons that I am a Democratic governor in a state that Donald Trump.
Honestly, Beshear's now doing what I consider an incredibly savvy move, which is doing the rounds on television and doing press conferences about how deeply weird it is that he hasn't heard from Mitch McConnell. Because the more he mounts that pressure, the harder it is for them to keep it a secret if Mitch McConnell is incapacitated. Like, it becomes harder and harder, and at some point, they're not going to be able to do it.
Won by 31 points is I am straight with the people of Kentucky. I'm straight about my health, my decision making when I know or don't know something. It's just people need you to be honest to them, and that's all I'm asking of Mitch McConnell and his office. Just be honest.
God, I think that's a great note to end on. But basically here, guys, Andy Beshear issuing a kind of challenge. Like, if you are real Mitch McConnell, appear before me now. And Mitch McConnell can't do it. You know? He can't do it. He's halfway into the shadow realm at this point. And like, honestly, I do not think let me put it this way. I think that basically, if you're a journalist and you're in Kentucky, you should be going and like interviewing and sitting down with and like talking to Mitch McConnell's like aides. You should be hounding his support staff to figure out what the fuck is going on. Right? Because they're not going to be able to do this entire cover-up if his aides start talking. And I think that that's kind of where we're at now. Because untrue, I just got off the phone with Mitch. Oh, that's actually true. That's actually true. I know a few of you have some very close ties with your good friend Mitch McConnell. I've heard some crazy things lately. He's been developing an interest in men. In muscle culture in particular, like vintage muscle culture. I hear he's turned over a new leaf and gotten really into karate. Mitch exploded. All right. Anyway, I do think that this is very funny, but I also think that this is a crisis waiting to happen, and it will be a profound failure on Andy Beshear's part if he is unable to effectively show that Mitch McConnell is incapacitated. And honestly, and this is my take, I think that Andy Beshear should give them another week until this coming Monday. And at that point, he should hold a press conference where he declares Mitch McConnell incapacitated and unable to fulfill his role as a senator. And at that point, he should name a successor. And if Mitch McConnell doesn't show up, I do think like, or at least like a press conference where you're like, okay, if Mitch McConnell doesn't like attend Senate in like the next week, I'm going to name a successor. You know? Because I think that that's important. And I think that like it's entirely justifiable. It's entirely legal. And I think that like what he's done so far is set the groundwork. And I think he needs to ramp it up to the next level by holding a press conference saying, Mitch McConnell, I'm calling you out, show up to Congress, otherwise you're fired. And then what if they wheel him out and literally do a weekend at Bernie's? They might. But he needs to start the clock. He needs to start the clock, and when that clock ticks down, he needs to name a successor. The political stakes are too high for him to dilly-dally on this. Just got off the phone with Mitch McConnell. We had phone sex. Damn. Grok, is this true? Grok, is this true? Hassan got off the phone and Mitch McConnell at the same time? I didn't even know phones could get off. Huh. What a strange skill. Anyway, folks, if you got anything out of this, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let me know what you think about my theory. Let me know what you think Andy Beshear should do. And also, folks, you should get involved in your local politics. Join your local Dems. Join your local DSA. If you need help, get involved with our Discord. Join our Discord, !Discord anywhere. And also, consider joining Progressive Victory. We got a link down below. And you can go check that out, and it will plug you into progressive campaigns across the country to do phone banking, door knocking, text banking, a bunch of different stuff for progressive candidates, again, across the country. And when you're in our Discord, reach out to GamerG for help with DSA. Reach out to Dragonfly for help with your local Dems. And folks, do check out ImogeneOlivia.com, gender euphoric lingerie designed from the ground up for trans femmes, also tested with cis men, cis women, non-binary folks. It is comfortable, sexy, non-tucking lingerie. Check it out, ImogeneOlivia.com. We just got a huge restock in all the sizes, and we added new sizes, and there is a new color. So go check that out, ImogeneOlivia.com. And with that, let's keep on going.
Riverboat Jack is coming to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube is where she streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, gaming, plenty more. Her sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight